You are listening to bonus content from Paranormal Tales from the Tower. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons, and if you are so inclined, give us a review on iTunes. And now, without further delay, here are the Spirit Board Sessions with Kathy Kelly.
Hey everybody, it is Kathy Kelly. I am coming to you from Paranormal Tower here in Asbury Park's historic downtown district. I am sitting here right now with Lisa. Lisa is she's both one of our team as well as one of our staff. She spends a lot of time here. She spends a lot of time here when we're not open. And I wanted to talk to her about, all of us have been noticing that there has been kind of an uptick in what I would consider, I'm just going to call it activity. I'm not going to say it's paranormal in nature. I'm not going to say it's supernatural or any of those things. But there has definitely been an uptick in the types of experiences and in the experiences that people are having. And so I asked Lisa to kind of sit down with me, answer a few questions, and kind of give you guys an idea of some of the things that have happened. So first of all, Lisa, how long have you been with the Paranormal Museum?
I've been here, it'll be a year next month or 2 months.
Wow,
Yeah.
really?
Time flies.
Holy crap. Before you started working at the Paranormal Museum, were you a paranormalist? Did you follow this kind of stuff?
I've always been interested. I've never investigated anything, but I've been in haunted houses. I've seen orbs.
So when you say you've been in haunted houses, I also know that you have a background in Halloween haunts and in makeup and things like that.
Right.
So when you say haunted houses, do you mean Halloween haunted houses or do you mean places that are actually haunted?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
So where would you put your level of experience before you started working here? Do you think it's changed since you've been here?
Oh yeah, I've learned a lot more.
Right. Do you think you've had more experiences since you've been here?
Yes, definitely.
So when you first started working here, would you have I apologize for that, guys. It is a Paranormal Tower, which unfortunately, it's Asbury Park, so we have a lot of ambient noise from outside, especially on a Friday night. But would you have considered yourself a believer, an agnostic, a skeptic? What would you have considered yourself?
A believer. Definitely a believer.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
And had you, having been here now for a year, has that changed in any way, or has it?
If anything, my belief has gotten stronger.
Really?
I've never been afraid of it. I've found it interesting. I wanted to learn more about it, but there have been a few things that have happened here that actually scared me.
So let's kind of get into that. So there's really three primary spaces in Paranormal Tower, and for those of you who've never been here, Paranormal Tower is a building, right? It's not just a storefront. It's literally the entire building. So the first floor is primarily our bookshop, which has about 4,000 titles dedicated to the paranormal. It also has tarot cards and other kind of esoteric things that people who are interested in the paranormal might be interested in. Dowsing rods, things like that. It is also the beginning of the museum, right? So the access to the museum, which takes up the entire second floor, begins in the shop. I would argue that the museum is kind of growing to take over a little bit of everything, right?
Yes.
It's kind of expanding rapidly. Then you have the museum, which has upwards of 200 artifacts that are on display, and that has been growing a great deal as well. And then you have the third floor, and the third floor looks very different from the other places. The other places have a very kind of Victorian or old-timey vibe to them, whereas the third floor very much has a coastal industrial feel to it, right? It's very modern. The intent, I think, was to create a space that was different from the rest of the building. And on the third floor, we have our offices, a break room, and honestly, it's more like like a command central kind of place where we review evidence, we meet together as a team, we discuss our cases and various things like that. Correct? Is that how you right? Okay. And yet, not one area is more active necessarily than the other, just based on where you are. You could have an experience pretty much any place.
Right.
So I'm gonna turn it over to you in a second to just kind of, first of all, do you remember what your first strange experience was here at Paranormal?
Yeah, the first experience I had was hearing what sounded like children running upstairs. I was downstairs in the bookstore, and I clearly heard a child. Children have smaller gait when they run,
Right.
and I could hear that bam, 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 bam.
Like a pattern.
Yes, right above my head, and it sounded like it ran to the back of the museum, and then back to the front. And then I heard.
And how do you know that there were no children?
Oh, it was at night. I was here by myself. We were about to close soon, so I was alone in the store. I was here another time with another worker. We heard it again, but it sounded like there were 2 or 3 kids running. And then we heard a noise. He said it sounded like a bowling ball.
Right.
And I said, no, more like a skee ball. It sounded smaller.
Right.
But we heard that
like it was rolling across the floor.
and they were running after it.
Right. Right. And what would you say is the most consistent kind of activity that you hear?
Usually footsteps. It sounds like there's someone walking through the buildings.
Now, I have told people, and it's no news to you, but I have felt, I've been here for a long time, and I've had my artifacts for a very long time, and it's like anything else. It's kind of like having a dog. You know your dog's temperament, and you know how far you can push it, and you know when the dog is going to bite, and you know all of those things. And that's how I feel about all of my stuff. And yet, I have expressed this last couple of weeks where I feel like something is different in the building. Now, I feel from an activity perspective, from a vibe perspective, it feels like something has changed. I don't want to characterize that as negative because I don't necessarily mean negative, but it's different.
It's different.
It's like I like vanilla ice cream, I like chocolate ice cream, and someone gives you strawberry ice cream. Well, strawberry ice cream is not bad. You were just expecting vanilla or chocolate. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I feel like we have a different flavor of ice cream that we're going through. And before I share the experiences that I've had, why don't you talk about what you've experienced these last couple of weeks? Up to and including, you participated in our last investigation.
Yes. Yeah. The noises of hearing, it sounds like other people are in the building when I know the doors are locked. A lot of times I've been up on the 3rd floor with you in the offices, and we both yell, "Oh, someone must come in. It must be another worker." And we yell down, "Who's here?"
We also check cameras. We have cameras so that we can monitor the doors, and I don't think there's 1 square foot of this building that we don't have on camera.
Right.
And so we know no one's in the building.
But when you hear,
right.
You distinctly hear someone downstairs or coming up the stairs, right. And nothing shows up on camera, it's a little unnerving because I know we both have heard it. It's not like I just hear it or you just hear it. We both look at each other and say, "Did you hear that?" But the one time I was by the stairs in the museum. And I was cleaning up.
The stairs going up or the stairs
going down? The stairs going down.
Okay.
And I heard, it sounded like a loud bang. Now I know you were upstairs on the 3rd floor. And I yelled up to you, "Are you okay? Was that you?" Because it was loud enough where I literally jumped and turned around. Mm-hmm. It sounded like something large fell, like something fell off the wall. But there was nothing there to fall.
Right.
So I thought you dropped something. You didn't hear it.
Right. So it's very localized.
Very localized.
I do know that there was one time I get a lot of camera updates, and I'll get updates if the camera sees something or hears something, or if there's some kind of motion in front of it. And oftentimes, if it's motion, you don't necessarily see something on the camera. So the camera saw something. Maybe it's a light flickering across a wall or something like that, or maybe it's something very imperceptible. The camera is powerful enough to pick up, but you don't necessarily see it. But I did get one time, I remember, when you were working here, and I actually think you were cleaning up. I had either gotten home sick or I had an appointment or something like that, but you were finishing something up, and I had gotten an update that there had been a loud noise, and I checked the camera. I kind of knew you were here, but I wasn't sure if you had left or not. And you were actually standing right in front of the camera, and you were terrified.
Yes.
The look on you, you were absolutely terrified. Now, I have a choice at that point, is I can actually speak to you through the camera, which I think would have made you shit your pants if I had done that. And I'm saying that, I'm not even kidding. I was worried about you. So I texted you and just said, are you okay?
Right.
And I actually went back and checked the audio, checked the tape to see what had happened to make you look so afraid. And you clearly are responding to something, but we don't hear it on the tape.
Right.
So you jerk back and you look over your shoulder and you kind of look around a little bit. Then you go back to what you're doing. And for those of you who don't know Lisa talks to herself almost nonstop when she's not around. And it's just kind of a sing-songy thing that you do. You know, lots of people do it, but you talk to yourself. So I kind of think it's a way of distracting yourself from the mundane tasks of the day. You know, you're having a conversation. And maybe you're, maybe you're resolving old fights or whatever. Writing a great novel. I have no idea. But you were doing that, and you reacted, honestly, like you heard a gunshot. Like you shook and jumped. And then you turned around and you looked at the stairs going down towards the bookstore, and you said, hello, is anyone here? Like you were afraid and angry. And then you grabbed the broomstick and you went downstairs. Like, oh, hell no, you're not doing that
Not
to
my
me,
story,
you know?
Yeah.
And that's when I kind of got you. But the look on your face, you were terrified. Like you were really frightened.
I was.
And I think, I don't know if it's because it was the second time it happened. You know what I mean? But I could tell, like tell me what was going through your mind.
Yeah. I'm not the type of person that gets scared. As you said earlier, I worked in a lot of haunted houses, Halloween type haunted houses. I'm used to being in them alone, or toward the end of the night, one of the last people to leave. I don't get afraid. People jump out. That's just not my thing. But this was very similar to the first. That slam, it was like a loud slam. Mm-hmm. Came from the same area.
Did you feel targeted? Like, did you feel like it was busting your chops?
Yes.
Like it was intentionally trying to scare you?
Yeah.
Not like scare you to make you leave, but like
a practical joke.
Like a little vindictively. Like a little like, oh, we're going to bust her chops hard. Like that. Let's make her dance.
But it was so loud.
Right.
And that's why I turned around, like you said.
You actually you shook and jumped, like, you know, there was no way you could have manufactured that, and yet there was no recording of audio. Like there was nothing on there but there was no audio. So it's like the audio got silenced, which is something else that we're having happen now. We have a couple of cameras that are so our cameras are Wi-Fi cameras and they're plugged in, so they're hardwired in. And yet we seem to have this situation where some of them lose power when nothing else has lost power in the building when something is happening. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Or we capture a video, but the audio is out. And that just doesn't generally happen with these types of cameras, where if you have audio and video, one doesn't go away and the other stays up. You know what I'm saying? Unless the camera's malfunctioning. But it doesn't happen in like increments when it's like, oh, another camera moved in that direction and then this camera moved in that direction, but there's no audio. You know, it just seems strange, right? So we had that happen a few times. But then you saw something too, though. You saw something on the stairs, if I remember correctly. And this is new.
Yeah, this, I have 2 cats at home, so I'm used to them zipping under my feet, and I'm used to having to step over them so I don't crush them. I was going down the stairs, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a cat, a shadow of a cat. It was big, and I tried to maneuver.
How large would you say it was?
Bigger than a Chihuahua.
So
a good sized
15,
cat.
16 pounds?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah. And I just instinctively, let me juggle everything
So
in my
at
hands.
that point, I had not told you what TJ and I had experienced.
Right.
About 6 weeks ago, I honestly don't remember why, but I was working in the store, we were closed. You know, it's weird, but there's always something to do. The museum is a constant work in progress, and we are constantly updating it. We are constantly trying new things, and for those of you who've never been here, I mean, this is truly a labor of love. We have a whole team of people who are just absolutely in love with what we do here, even though it is so much work. And we're not complaining that it's a lot of work, but 9 o'clock at night, you'll find us here saying, do you think we should put that in a frame? Or, do you think we should hang that from wire? Or, oh, wait, where's the old Ouija board that, whatever. Should that be in isolation? We do these things. And it's nothing for us to be here late. It's really nothing for us to be here late. We're here late all the time. But on this particular night, I was working and I'm almost never in the store, but I was working in the store, and I had moved into the back, and there's a back corridor which leads you to the stairs that go up to the museum. But at the back of the corridor, there are 2 glass doors to the outside of the building. So we have frontage on both streets, on Cookman Avenue and on Madison Avenue. The staff generally comes in through the back door. You don't, but I think most other people do. And on this particular case, TJ's a big dude. I mean, he's gotta be like 6'1" or so. I mean, he's an imposing figure. And then you talk to him, and he's like he's like a little giggly boy, but he's a big dude, and he's substantial. And he was walking in, and most of the lights were off except for the light that was coming in, and I saw this shadow run from the staircase kind of across the corridor. It was big enough that I thought, holy shit, what was that it went past. But I have one fear in this world, and I am afraid of mice. And I thought, well, that's what that had to be. I can't believe this mouse just ran across an open floor between 2 giant people, but he did. And I immediately was like, okay, we have to sell the building, but I let TJ in, and, immediately I was actually already texting the pest guy, because, I have a pest guy for the place because I take care of my building. But there's really no food here, so it's unusual for us to have something like that going on. But I don't want them running around the store, So I was actually already on the phone with him. So TJ came in, and he was downstairs, and I went upstairs to get something, and as I came down, he said to me, when did you get a cat? And I said, what are you talking about? I didn't get a cat. He goes, I just saw a cat, and he described the same route that I had seen, what I assumed was a mouse. Now, it was not small enough to be a mouse. It was significantly larger, but I assumed that I just saw motion and shadow. Right? I didn't in any way. And so I said, oh, no, I think it was a mouse. So we lifted up the skirts of everything, and we couldn't find any place where a mouse could have gone. We didn't find any droppings. I called in the pest guy. The pest guy came in that week, and he didn't find anything either, And then you said you saw a cat, So it kind of is making me wonder. And then we had our investigation, and we had a lot of strange activity around the investigation, and we had a lot of artifacts that came in. But it was right after that we investigated on Friday night. It was on Sunday night, if I remember correctly, Sunday or Monday night, that we captured the shadow figure in the picture. This is the clearest shadow figure I think I've ever seen. It is. And it is in 2 frames of the video. Tell me what you thought when you saw it.
I actually thought at first, oh, TJ's fixing something in the case. Mm-hmm. And then when I looked closer, you could see it's a shadow.
Right.
But it's big.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And it looks like a person.
Oh, yeah.
However, it's taken in night vision, so if it was a person, it would have been illuminated. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the night vision light would have hit it and would have illuminated for the camera. There are other things in the room are all illuminated, but this figure is not. I did contact the camera company to ask if this could be some kind of an anomaly, and they said no. They didn't think that it could be. I sent it out to a couple of people. Some people everyone would know, so I'm just not going to use their names, but if you know me, you can surmise who I sent it to. He said he never saw a glitch that looked like that. And no one was in the building at the time because I checked all of the other cameras. I pulled all of the other tapes. So, it's not a cat, but there is something weird in the picture other than the shadow figure. And I don't know if anyone else noticed it.
In the front?
In the front.
Yes.
It looks like a cat. Do you know what I mean? There's a blob. Well, there's some kind of a weird blob. I'm not talking about the shiny thing in the front. That's the banister. I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
That's the banister. I'm talking about at the shadow figure's feet, slightly in front of it, there is something that looks to be about the size of a sack of potatoes. Like a 10-pound sack of potatoes. It's not defined that well, but it's definitely something significantly smaller than the figure. And I'm wondering if that isn't what people
are seeing.
So, tell me if you is there something that you have had happen other than that noise that has unnerved you? Is there something about this new activity? Like, what is it? What does it feel like that's different to you?
It's hard to explain. It almost feels, you know how you walk into a room and there's a lot of people? That's what it feels like.
Well, someone came in last night and described it. Someone who's come to several of our events, but not someone who is familiar. You know what I mean? Like, I remember her, you remember her. I remember meeting her once a few years ago, but she doesn't come she doesn't come like so often that we really know her. And she knows us, but I don't really. But remember when she walked in yesterday, she just said, something's different, it feels much heavier in here. And she kept saying that, not in a negative way, but definitely in a way of she noticed something was different. And where she said she noticed it was right around the library, which is where the typewriters are, which is where a lot of the new phenomena has kind of been experienced. Is there anything that's happened that makes you uncomfortable or makes you nervous?
Other than those noises, I'm
How about my reaction to it?
I think that actually scared me. I was relieved to know
you tell
saw
me? Why don't you say what happened?
Oh, when I went downstairs with the broom in my hand to defend myself,
right?
And there was nobody there. You did ask over the camera, are you okay? Mm-hmm. And that kind of scared me because I didn't expect to hear your voice. So that was more like a...
Well, no, I'm talking about like what happened last night.
And I'm trying to remember it because... I'm sorry. Let's see.
It's just that generally speaking, I don't get afraid.
Oh,
You know what I mean? And so people are always saying, I wasn't afraid until I realized that you were afraid. And certainly something happened last night where I have never left this building because I felt like I got pushed out of it. But last night I definitely left because I wasn't comfortable. You know
I
what I
was
mean?
afraid for you at that point.
Right.
I
I know, but I mean, I know nothing's gonna happen to me. I'm not worried. Like, I mean, truthfully, I thought there was a person in here. You know what I mean? I thought, and I actually did start to record here because I saw that it wasn't a person, and I wanted to see if I could capture it because it was so loud. Like the footsteps were so clearly, and you know how you can just feel like you don't necessarily hear the person hit their own arm against their chest or something like that, but you do. But it's not loud enough to pick up. But you hear all of these little sounds of their bodies.
Right, the
You know what I
legs
mean?
rustling.
Right,
As they walk.
you know, and it was like, that is what happened. You know what I want to try, and maybe we'll just do this for a second, but let's see if we get anything.
Can I also say, when we did the investigation,
At this point in the recording, guys, we turned on a spirit portal box, and that is the sound that you hear in the background. I'm going to leave it there. If you hear anything or if you get a word out of it, please send us an email to Kathy@paranormalbooksnj.com or hit us up on any of our social media. Thanks.
I do remember hearing I'm on the stairs.
All right. Can you flip that or just shove that underneath it? Yeah, perfect. All right. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, are you here with us? If you're here with us, can you make your presence known? Tell us your name. Can you tell us your name?
They've been
David. So David kept coming through last night in the seance. David, have you been here long? David, have you been here in this building for a long time? Did you come in with one of the artifacts? Can you tell us why you're here? Did you want to talk to someone? That was so clear.
I'm not David.
Did you come in for the seance last night? Did you come in for the seance last night? Are you still here with us? Did you leave? Did we lose you? Are you the one that we hear coming up and down the stairs? Is there anybody here that can talk to us? You can use the energy of this device. You can speak to any of us. Is there something you'd like to tell us? Are you here with someone? Is there someone you want to talk to? Can you say anything to us at all? No? Nothing? All right, we're about ready to close up. Are you sure there's nothing you want to say to us, David? Or anyone else? Anything? What was that? I feel like I talked right over it. Can you repeat that? Stop what? Can you make a sound downstairs? Can you make a sound by the fireplace? David, can you step in front of any of the cameras downstairs right now? Can you touch one of the dolls? By the way, guys, I am actually getting updates that there's stuff moving in front of the cameras. Can you touch one of the dolls? Step in front of the dolls. Just go touch any one of the dolls. Our batteries are going. I'm going to lose you in a second. All right. Can you, David, do me a favor and just go and stand in front of the dolls. I'm going to check the camera in 2 minutes. For those of you guys who are watching this, I actually am going to have to shut this off because we're about to lose power and I don't want to lose everything else with it. Remember, we have an investigation on February 29th. There are still a few spots left on it. If you go to paranormalbooksnj.com, you can get tickets. You can actually get tickets on Facebook as well. If you're not able to attend, just keep checking Paranormal Tower. If you go to our website, paranormalbooksnj.com, go to our podcast, you'll get the updates. I'm going to be updating pretty consistently with this. You can also go to Paranormal Tower on Facebook, at Paranormal Tower on Instagram. Please subscribe to the podcast, share the podcast. All of this stuff is going to, we just got another update. All of this stuff is sharing it, everything like that just helps us do more experiments. I'm going to upload this as soon as possible, and I'm also going to check all the security tapes to see if we got anything else. All right, you guys, thanks so much. We really appreciate it. Thanks for being a member of the team. So long. I just said so long. All right, say goodbye. Thanks so much, Lisa. We'll do this again in a few minutes, in another few days.
Goodbye. Have a good
David, can you tell me where you came from, man? What did he say? Where did you come from, David? At this point, our microphone stopped recording, and although we could continue to hear the spirit box, it was no longer being recorded into the software. If you heard anything, if you think you sensed anything, if you got anything from that, please reach out to us. Again, go to paranormaltower.com, go to Paranormal Tower on Facebook, at Paranormal Tower on Instagram, or of course you can always reach me at Paranormal Books and Curiosities. Let me know what you guys think. Hello, paranormalists. Did you know that there is a real paranormal tower and that it's located at 621 Cookman Avenue in Asbury Park, New Jersey's historic downtown district? Not only is there a real paranormal tower, there is a real paranormal archive and a cult library. And when you send in your stories or you call and you tell us your stories, they become part of that archive and library. And that means that your story becomes part of the continuing story of paranormal. And that means if you come to visit us, you'll be able to see your story and others, and also that other people will be able to hear your words and learn more about their world.